So I'm at home and the phone rings and it says unknown caller. And I'm like, should I answer it? And I'm thinking about this Yahoo article I read that said, if you want to be more productive, don't answer phone calls from unknown callers. And then the reasoning was, when's the last time anything good's happened when you received a call from an unknown caller? And then I'm thinking, well, suppose it's someone I know and they're calling from a secret location because they're in trouble. So then I answer it, and it's Fauci. And I'm like, why are you calling me? What do you want? He goes, can you be my body double? I'm like, no, I can't be your body double. Why would you think I could want to do that or would do that? He's like, well, I got Britney Spears after me. And I'm like, yeah, that's your fault. That was pure greed. He's like, yeah, I know. I apologize. It's like, well, that's not the point. I still can't be your body double. I'm too busy. He's like, why are you too busy? He's like, I'm like, I'm the body double for Donald Trump, Wayne Brady, Clarence Thomas, and Betty White. He's like, Betty White's dead. I'm like, no, Betty White is not dead. She's living comfortably at Area 51. And at some point, she's going to come back to life. And I don't know when that is. And I'm going to be immediately put into service when she does. He goes, yeah, that makes sense. I guess you are too busy. Next thing you know, I hear a knock at the door. I look at the door. It's Fauci. I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, I need a place to stay. I'm like, you can't stay here. Britney Spears is after you. She comes here all the time. She has her own key. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, she has her own key. And she's looking for you. He's like, well, I just need a couple hours to figure out what I'm going to do. Next thing you know, we hear this car screeching into my driveway. And it's a pink Ferrari. When you think pink Ferrari, you know it's Britney. So Britney comes in, hi, how you doing? I'm thinking Fauci darted to the other room. And I'm looking the other room. She's like, something wrong? I'm like, she's like, it's my outfit, isn't it? I was like, I didn't want to say anything. She had a pink sweatshirt on because she likes her pink. And it said, fuck up Fauci on it. And then she had pink sweatpants and they said, fuck up Fauci on both legs. And I was like, well, yeah, I don't know if you can go out in public with the F word on your clothes. She's like, you think it's too much? I'm like, yeah, it's too much. She's like, okay. Yeah, I was wondering if it was a little too much. I'm going to go home and change. So she leaves. Fauci comes out. I'm like, see, this is why you can't stay here. And he's like, well, where should I go? I'm like, well, what about Mount Everest? He's like, I can't go to Mount Everest. I'm like, why? He's like, it's too cold. Plus the air's thin. I was like, yeah, people have died. Yeah, so maybe that's not the best place. Then he go, I know. You can go to the Bunny Ranch. He's like, the Bunny Ranch? I'm like, it's the perfect place for you. He's like, how is it the perfect place? I'm like, if someone goes to the Bunny Ranch and they see you and then they come back, what are they going to say? Oh, last weekend I went to the Bunny Ranch and I saw Fauci. The first thing the person's going to say is, what were you doing at the Bunny Ranch? And give him the side eye. He's like, yeah, you're right. And I'm sure they need a doctor. He's like, well, they probably do. And you're infectious diseases, right? He goes, yeah, that's my specialty. I'm like, well, if there's a disease at the Bunny Ranch, you know it's infectious. He's like, yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right. And if you cure it, you don't even have to cure it. Just do some work on it, I bet you'll get a Nobel Prize in medicine within 5 years. He's like, you've convinced me. I'm going to go home, pack my stuff, and go to the bunny ranch. I'm like, you can't go home. Brittany might be there. Well, she said she was going home to change and come back here, but, well, you were here. She probably can smell you if she stays here long. And then she's going to, no, you probably should just go straight to the bunny ranch. It's like, well, how am I going to get my stuff? I go, well, I'll go pack your stuff and I'll ship it overnight. So he's like, so he left. He was like, thank you for your advice. You've been such a good friend. I'm like, you and me have never been friends. He's like, you're right. We had never been friends. Thank you for helping me out, though, in my time of need. And I'm like, if you get to the bunny ranch, don't be greedy like you were with Britney Spears. He's like, I know. I'll probably have to live the rest of my life there. I'm like, yeah, it's a good place for you. And when you get that Nobel Peace Prize, remember to thank me. He's like, I will. And then he left, and then I went to Fauci's house, packed his stuff up, and sent it there. So you're probably asking, well, you're saying Fauci's at the bunny ranch. Won't people give you the side? And I'm like, no, I just say it's my idea. And people are like, oh. And then I tell them the same reason I just told you, and they're like, you know what? That was very nice of you. So people think I'm a saint now.